Unfortunately, I noticed that after every series of questioning on this side of the aisle, you choose to editorialize and contradict the points being made by this side of the aisle.
I appreciate your input, but they're not offered in an even-handed way. And I just don't think it's productive.
In the minority, we waited through chairman's time when we had Republican chairs. There will not be a separate set of rules for Democrats in control of this committee.
The reason she's always below the recommendation, I think, is because she doesn't use the enhancements available to her. She takes them off the table. And I think that's a big mistake, Judge. I think that every federal judge out there should make it harder for somebody to go on a computer and view this filth.
Senator, every person in all of these charts and documents, I sent to jail because I know how serious this crime is. The Supreme Court has tests and standards that it's applied when it evaluates regulation of the right of a woman to terminate their pregnancy. They have the court has announced that there is a right to terminate up to the point of viability, subject to the framework in Roe and Casey. And there's a pending case right now that is addressing these issues.
The Constitution doesn't mention the word abortion, correct?
That's correct.
Just like it doesn't mention the word marriage, correct?
That is correct.
And so as you and I discussed, perhaps ad nauseum yesterday, when we were talking about substantive due process, this is one of those unenumerated rights that the court has created, court-made doctrine or law, and creating a constitutional right, even though it's not explicitly mentioned in the Constitution itself. Correct?
The court has interpreted the due process clause of the 14th Amendment to include.
Right. We talked about substantive due process yesterday.
And I just want to say that I think you have a stamina and a very good brain and a real sense of empathy has been communicated to me in these 15 hours.
I'm prepared to not only support you, but to let you know that I will be very proud and very honored and very excited to support you.
I know yesterday was a grueling day of questions. I commend you for your poise, your endurance, your thoughtful answers. We heard some overheated claims yesterday that your representation on Guantanamo detainees somehow signaled your policy preference with how the United States has dealt with those detainees.
Some of these crimes are terrible crimes. Our Constitution is designed to ensure that the government affords due process to people who are being accused of crimes. What it's about is ensuring that the government does what is required in order to ensure all of our liberty.
Is there anything you want to convey to them about what kind of Supreme Court justice you would be if and when you're confirmed?
What I would hope to bring to the Supreme Court is very similar to what 115 other justices have brought, which is their life experiences, their perspectives. And mine include being a trial judge, being an appellate judge, being a public defender, being a member of the Sentencing Commission, in addition to my being a Black woman, lucky inheritor of the civil rights dream.
You're in my alma mater, Harvard, is currently being sued for its explicit and, in my view, egregious policy of discriminating against Asian Americans. So now you're on the Board of Overseers of Harvard. If you're confirmed, do you intend to recuse from this lawsuit?
That is my plan, Senator.
Okay.
I regret is that in a hearing about my qualifications to be a justice on the Supreme Court, we've spent a lot of time focusing on this small subset of my sentences.
Don't worry, my sister. Don't worry. God has got you. And how do I know that? Because you're here. And I know what it's taken for you to sit in that seat.